Thank you very much for joining us. We've been having a lot of new developments in DataSelf for the past year or so, and for the last 6 months. Feels like, we have done what we have done in the last 10 years. In the last 3 months, it's been crazy. So there's a lot of, great evolution in our platform. Today's session is going to be pretty packed, and it's going to be a blend of business conversations. Sometimes we're going to dive right into some technical corners that some of you might get lost. Don't worry, I'll bounce back. I'm also asking Zach to keep me here not going too crazy. I'm a self-proclaimed data geek, and sometimes I geek out a lot. So anyhow, I'll
Yeah,
go over.
we all do, right? It's exciting.
Yeah. So keep in mind, I'll be covering business context, use cases, status of what's going on with the business, with the market, with our technology. Sometimes I'll dive into some technical topics, but don't detach because I'll be bouncing between multiple topics, and hopefully all of you will walk out of this session excited about what's happening in our universe. So I'll spend the first 5 minutes just talking stack technology. We have done a lot of evolution in our stack recently, a lot of it. So I want to give you an overview. Going to feel like a sales pitch. It's not. It's just telling you how the new architecture works. I'll give you a brief status of Tableau, what's happening with Tableau in DataSelf. I'll talk about Power BI about 5 minutes as well. You guys might have lots of questions about individual topics here. Ask on the chat, and Zach might be able to answer right on in real time of some of your questions. But it's possible that some of your questions will require a dedicated call so we can talk individually about where you are, what your goals are, and how we can move you forward into these new exciting things. The bulk of presentation is going to be around the DataSelf new stack. So the latest and greatest in data warehousing, ETL technology. We're pretty much rolling out agentic ETL, AI agentic ETL. So there's a lot of cool stuff to cover in the 30 minutes. Then we'll cover, what's our vision of what's happening in this crazy AI-driven world, or not AI if you're not, interested yet. So we'll talk a little bit about what's next, and then, assuming I have time and I don't go over my allocated slot, we'll have 10 minutes to discuss. We'll also be having this kind of session more frequently moving forward. So don't panic if we're covering too much today and you don't get a lot because it's too much. We'll be peeling the onion and covering these things in more detail. Anyhow, let's get started.
Did you already start the recording, Johnny?
Yeah, it's automatic. Thank God, I hope.
Nice.
And Christine,
Okay.
keep me honest in case I miss something. But first of all, I know that some of you are so looking for AI stuff, and you're going to get a lot of AI stuff out of our call. And I'm pretty sure some of you are like, no, well, AI, yada, yada, yada. And some of you, I don't want to hear about AI. All of you will get value out of today's call, but there's a lot of AI content, not, again, not only AI. So be patient if you're not AI interested, because we're going to get to some of your things that you are interested. So this page here is, we're seeing a lot of companies trying to use AI directly out of their source systems, out of their ERP, their CRM, and other systems. And yes, you can. If you have the proper things, you can do it. The problem is your source system has what we call fragmented data, is poorly curated, is poorly governed data. And what I can tell you is, if you do this, good luck. Good luck. And when, if something goes wrong and you blow and whatever, call us. We're here to put something else to do it dramatically better. But pretty much, if you do this, the question is, can you trust the answers out of your AI, out of your Tableau Power BI? Quite often it's a black box. You don't control it. The answers are inconsistent. Sometimes you ask a question, you get an answer. Sometimes you ask the same question, expecting the same answer, you get a different answer. And what the heck? Yep, many times AI is a black box. You might have slow performance issues. Your ERP might become slow. Your AI might take forever to answer. Many times, the AI doesn't have your business data context, so it hallucinates a lot trying to figure out what you're asking. If you don't put security around your AI, really good luck. People can get access to data that they're not supposed to. And people say AI is cheap. Not really. If you start using AI professionally, your AI bill can be very expensive. Those are the main topics or main issue that people are trying to use AI directly out of source system. So many people do. But what do we do to solve those problems? So in all you guys already have this kind of framework. And this is the new architecture. Many components that you have today are already here. Many components you might not have or not the latest and greatest. But the new architecture is on the far right, far left, you have your source systems, ETL Plus. Right now, all of you have ETL Plus, either the prior version or the current version. ETL Plus is responsible for getting the data out of your source systems, extract it, and integrate your data into your data warehouse. Maybe you only have one source system. Maybe you have multi-company, multi-currency, multi-systems. ETL is the main responsible for getting the data out of those systems and putting into your data warehouse. Can be on premises, can be on cloud, but that's the first step. Step two, that is usually where a lot of the magic happens, is taking your raw data and modeling it and enriching it for the downstream tools. How do you do your sales rules? How you do your expenses? How you do your project accounting? All of those things, all those rules should be modeled in the data warehouse. This process nowadays is AI assisted. So configuring it, changing it, modeling it's much faster because now AI can help you with SQL statements and whatnot. But the idea is that whoever is doing the modeling is someone that knows your business, knows your data, and using AI, build the single version of the truth for your metrics. Put this in the data warehouse so you'll have a curated source of data, very limited containers around your sales, your financials, your inventory, your project account, whatever it is. And then you put security around it. Who can access your sales? Who can access your financials? Who can access your project accounting, whatnot? So there's security around. We also have high performance fine tuning. Sometimes queries can take, too long to run, can take minutes, even hours. Well, we have a layer now that can optimize the data structures to guarantee even more the results of your queries will run in seconds. So all of this modeling and enrichment pretty much is to give better context for your raw data. So when you connect to your reporting tools of your choice, can be any LLM, can be even, open source LLM. We support them all. Power BI, we have a lot of Power BI momentum, a lot of the momentum. If you're using Domo, we don't care in a way. We support them all. We enhance them all because the real value is on the back end. Once you have the back end properly modeled, extracted, modeled, and enriched, then decisions are, curated, are governed, or fast speed. And if you're using AI, you don't use a lot of tokens. So that's the high level latest technology architecture that we have behind the scenes. Moving on, part of this is behind the scenes, part of the modeling is because there are star schemas. Star schemas, if you don't know what it is pretty much a purpose-built structure for fast, reliable AI reporting analytics. Right now we have here a sales star schema. You have your facts, your sales transactions, invoice head and invoice detail, and they are a single structure in the data warehouse where we put, around it, the things that you want to group by your sales, your customer, chart of accounts, ship to whatever, dates. And when you ask a question to your sales in your data warehouse, you have a star schema ready to be queried. So if you're using Power BI, Tableau, or AI, you don't have to link tables. You don't have to figure out how to do these things. You don't have to figure out how you're calculating sales, what kind of filters you apply. You just run and you get the results usually in seconds. So star schema is a foundation behind this framework. But then we also have galaxy schemas, probably for many of you, Galaxy Schema, it's a new term. What are Galaxy Schemas? Well, it's putting a bunch of storage schemas together, and you get a Galaxy Schema. It's a fancy name, Galaxy Schema in the data geek, world has been around as a concept for about 20 years, and only in the last few years became mainstream. This was pretty much impossible to do 5 years ago. Nowadays, with Power BI, Tableau, and AI, Galaxy Schemas allows business people and business analysts to ask questions about your processes or departments, like opportunities in CRM, sales orders, your shipping, you're issuing invoices, you're issuing receivables and receipts, and it eventually become a line in the P&L. There are multiple star schemas that today, without a Galaxy Schema, if you need to query something across all of them, is usually export to Excel, a lot of manipulation. In the Galaxy Schema is a single model that you ask the question across all of them, and the tool like Power BI, Tableau, or AI will give you an answer pulling data from across them. It's an amazing functionality. If you don't have today in your DataSelf Galaxy Schemas, be sure to talk with us because there's a lot of use cases that they are amazingly powerful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was gonna say for some of our customers who've been around for a while, some of this is probably gonna be new for you. So if your out of the box doesn't look like this, then you should definitely reach out to us because the new out of the box is really organized well so that you can do reporting across different areas of your business without having to do blends or switch between models.
Yeah. Exactly. So I'm going to go through now the Tableau topic. Mainly here is what's new on our side. So first of all, we keep on improving the number of reports and dashboards out of Tableau. So if today you only have certain modules and you're thinking, hey, I would like to have Tableau covering more business areas. We have a lot more business areas covered. So you can even take a screenshot of this QR code that goes to our knowledge base that has a list of the things covered, including Galaxy schemas. So if you're interested, check it out and contact us. We also have a Tableau API integration. This is not as critical if you're using today our own Tableau Cloud, DataSelf BI. Probably you don't care if you're using this. But if you're using Tableau Cloud or if you have your own Tableau server or you're moving the direction, our Tableau API integration makes data refreshes pretty much in sync with the ETL process, and you can do bulk publishing. This can get very technical, but we have now an amazing API integration with Tableau. If you're working with Power BI and thinking moving to Tableau, we have semi-automated conversion processes that can make this process significantly faster. So call us if you're thinking about moving this transition because we can make it faster. And if you're still using dataselfbi.com and you haven't read my email that we sent already twice this year, this server is going to retire in January 2028. If you're not aware, call us. It's important.
You do send a lot of emails, Johnny, so it might have gone to their spam, but yeah, you do want to be aware of that transition, January 2028. We have a lot of tools to make your transition easy. So if you're thinking about moving to cloud or if you're thinking about moving to Power BI, we've got tools that will make it way easier than just trying to do it on your own or yeah. So please
Yeah.
reach out to us.
Yeah. Power BI is kind of similar. We have also built a lot more reports and that a lot more, star schemas, Galaxy schemas. It has enhanced the Galaxy schema behind the scenes. We have a lot more reports and dashboards. So if you're thinking you'd like to expand your Power BI across whatever you have, call us. We have a lot more options. So you can also check this QR code to see what's documented. Many times the documentation falls behind the reality. So even if you don't see something that the documentation, call us. Sometimes you already have something totally baked or half baked towards the direction. Reach out. Power BI integration to me, if
It's
you're
because we'd all rather work on doing the things than documenting it, right?
who loves
Which I
documentation,
which
right?
which I think a lot of people could probably resonate with.
Yeah. Nowadays with AI, it's easier to document, but
Yeah,
there aren't
that's
many people
true.
who do stuff that love documentation, so it's always
Uh,
foggy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My wife loves documenting anyway.
yeah. If you're not, if today you're not using the ETL plus Power BI API integration, and if you haven't been working with us with Power BI for, I think the last 6 months is when we released this integration, is being super helpful. Primarily, it allows to refresh your Power BI models in synced up with the ETL processes, eliminates overlapping, it guarantees speed. So check it out. It's very, very helpful. Contact us. We can talk about how we can fine tune the process. And if you have Tableau and continue moving to Power BI, we have a two-way direction. We no longer have a horse on this race. If you like Power BI, we can help you. If you like Tableau, we can help you. If you move from one to the other, we can help you. If you want to work with AI, we can help you. So anyhow, if you have Tableau and moving to Power BI, contact us. We can discuss the process, the why you should do it, why you shouldn't do it, how you should do it. We should accelerate you guys making the transition. Zach, any other thoughts?
It's amazing how far Power BI has come in the last couple of years. Because if you'd asked this question a couple of years ago, I said, "Oh, Tableau's so much better." But
Yeah.
really, they are pretty equal now. So we can help you move either way.
Yeah. We've been working with Tableau since 2010, so it's been 16 years, and with Power BI since 2019, so we've been working with about 7 years, and yeah, both tools are right now pretty powerful and pretty amazing. Alrighty. So what I'm going to do next is go into the DataSelf stack and show you kind of novelties. I'll give you a quick tour of ETL Plus. So this is not AI. This is not AI. The Tableau Power BI was not AI necessarily, even though they have AI. And today was not the goal to talk about their AI. They both have the AI. If you want to discuss what they're providing it as AI, what the options are, what their costs. We have a lot of knowledge that we can help you accelerate the understanding. The Microsoft documentation is not that great. The Salesforce people push, Tableau like is a magic wand. And we're here to tell you the real options, how they can work for you, and in which options and costs probably can make more sense for you. We can help to educate you. So I'm going to give you now a tour on ETL Plus, and many of you probably have seen or used the ETL Plus desktop. ETL Plus desktop will continue to be a product because it's the foundation behind it, does a lot of things. But the version 2026, which many of you already have, is a framework where all the actions that people do in the data warehousing modeling is actually executed by an ETL installation somewhere that usually don't even need to know where it is. It's just executing an action. And our vision is to push the majority of the user interface of the ETL process to the web. So I'm going to show you the ETL Web user interface right now. But most importantly, we are slowly but surely moving the UI into prompts. And in this presentation, I'm also going to show you why in the future you don't need to log to ETL at all. You can just use a prompt in your own LLM to do ETL processes. So I'm going to give you a tour of ETL plus web. And if you're not technical right now, this might be a little bit very technical, but I'll try to keep even those of you who are not technical understanding the big picture. So ETL Plus is the tool that takes your ERP data, Acumatica, Sage, NetSuite. There's a lot of systems out there, put into your data warehouse, and then model it. Here, ETL Web is telling the summary. We take your sources, we mirror the data into your data warehouse. We use the yellow color to tell that these steps is a mirror step. Then we transform the data into models, star schemas, galaxy schemas, and eventually your data goes into the external objects, your Power BI, your Tableau, your AI, and that's where you see the data. That's the flow of data that the ETL kind of manages. And eventually we also have the jobs that tell to run this thing overnight, every hour and whatnot. So when you look at this panel, the colors, yellow, this is a mirroring step. The green is a transformation step. The blue is external objects, and then the gray are the when you run those refreshes. So the mirror step, you can have your ERP, your CRM, your payroll. They're all here. You can list, expand, and to see what tables you're bringing from your ERP system. If you expand a certain table, you can see what columns you're bringing. So this is pretty much the ETL desktop, ETL desktop on a web browser. If you want to see one of these tables exactly, just by looking at the rows, you can also click on the table, and then it gives you the SQL statement. If you want to see the metadata, is right there. So with a few clicks, you can see a lot of the context around the data. So anyhow, it's right there. If you need to add more tables today, you can go here and tell, I want to add another table for my ERP system. And then it will give you a list of all the tables available from your ERP system, all the tables that are already available. And then here you can just check the boxes. I want to add a bunch of them. You can tell, show me my, filter. And you can select a bunch of things, click add, and now you add in bulk all of your tables with a few clicks.
This is the part I love, adding a whole bunch all at once or removing a whole bunch all at once. Performing actions on groups of items. I don't know if you haven't shown that quite yet, but maybe you'll get to it.
Right. If you want to load 3 tables, you can select a bunch of tables here, and you can load them, and now you're going to run the loads of those tables in bulk.
You don't have to create a manual job to run several items all at once like you used to have to do. You can just run them all together like that.
Yeah. And this is a web browser. So, if you want to search all the features of web browsers, filtering for stuff, searching for stuff, it's much easier to use than the desktop because you use the power of the web, and you don't need to be IP whitelisting. By the way that you can access your ETL web is using currently Azure Entra. So the authentication is guaranteed by Microsoft. And because of that, you don't have to deal with IP whitelisting. So these are the mirroring step. There's a bunch of things. I'm just showing the high level.
Do you have tags in this one?
Yeah. Yes, there's tags.
You should show them tags.
All right. You want to talk about
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, so you can tag this table is used by this area of the business, right? So with your sales data source, and you were like, I don't know what's used in the sales data source. Now, because of tags, you can filter down for all the tables that are used in that data source. And then you don't have to go figure it out. You can just run all those ones that have that tag to refresh them, and then refresh your semantic model or your Tableau data source. It's like, oh man, that'll save me a ton of time trying to find the right tables.
Zach, you're definitely a data geek. Thanks for. Yeah, tags are awesome. Very helpful for those of us who live in data problems.
Yeah, or like if a salesperson made a huge sale and you wanted to see how it affected your GL, right? You could filter for GL, and then you could select all the tables that are necessary in that data source, refresh all of them, and now you've got brand new fresh data rather than having to wait for the next scheduled refresh. And you didn't have to go dig for it. It's just right there.
Yeah. It's like, we can burn the whole time just showing ETL web. So let me move on, and we'll have more things to show. And we'll have another webinar just around the ETL web functionality and all the power available. But let me move on. So we talk about the mirroring step and all the power that you have now with ETL web. The green, now we have 2 layers. We have the reports, which we already have for forever. And now we also have SQL scripts. So if you are a SQL person that will start procedure and indexing heavy duty, SQL, welcome. You can now run stored procedures totally inside of ETL. And this unlocks a lot of power that in the past you had to run outside of ETL. Now it's completely inside. You don't need to run stored procedure. You don't need to run, batch files. It's all encapsulated and it's AI assisted. So that's the transformation. And I'll go back to the transformation later when I talk about the DFT, but let me just move on about the main steps. Here are external objects. and we have a bunch of external objects. We have cloud scripts to run stuff in the cloud. You can run command line in your server to do certain kind of procedure locally. You can download CSV to your own. This is not through the web. The download to CSV, you have to be on desktop because of data privacy issues. But you can run download to CSV to your own servers. Power BI refreshes. Python, amazingly integration. Now we fully support Python as part of your ETL processes. And with Python integration, which is also AI assisted, right now, the amount of data sources that you can bring into your data warehouse in a kind of no code, meaning AI assisted, goes to millions. There's literally thousands of data sources that are API based that Python will allow you to easily get into your data warehouse using AI to assist.
Yeah, and it's a lightweight IDE, so if you're wanting to build or develop in it, you can do a little bit of testing, and it will give you back results. But it's a lightweight. It's a lightweight IDE.
Right. And finally, here's where you schedule how to refresh your DataSelf data. You can just run manually, or you can go to the scheduling, and if you need to change the properties, hey, I want to run this refresh only one time. I want to refresh weekly. What days of the week? Or you want to run monthly, or maybe just in the quarter. I want to put just the first of the quarter. I want to run some certain things. So the scheduling of running jobs now is significantly more powerful, easier to use, and all configurable in the ETL web. So super cool. Um, um, in job step here, when you click on a job, you can see all the steps. And if you want to move things around, now you can drag and drop. Much easier to make in the past to do this kind of thing would be a pain in the neck. Now we can easily take things in bulk. If I want to select or unselect, you can quickly do things in bulk that in the past we could only do one at a time. I know that Zach can go data geek a lot into all of these features. There's a lot of little features that are we've been asking forever, and they're finally coming in real time, but we got to move on. So this is an overview, very high level of the ETL web, kind of doing this ETL that I'm showing is still a beta version. We already have an ETL web in production, but what I'm showing right now is going to be in production probably in a couple of weeks. And this version is on par with the desktop for about 90% of the things that you needed desktop in the past. On average, 90% of them, you don't need desktop anymore. You can do everything on the web. So the web is really starting to become a better, easier way to interface with ETL for a chunk of the work. Now, this is ETL Plus as a platform. As part of our framework, when I was showing you the architecture, we also have the DFT. We call the DFT Plus. DFT is Dimension, Fact, and Time Modeling. Means we take your raw data that comes from your ERP, from your CRM, and in the reports, which is a transformation step, we create D, F, T, and also S. But these are structures where we isolate the uniquenesses of the source database structure from what's feeding your reports, your AI, your Power BI and Tableau. And this is where you do the curation of your data. What is the definition? We call the single point of truth or spot. Single point of truth of your customer is in the customer table. And here you can use AI to make the definition of what your customer, is it coming from your ERP, or some fields coming from an Excel file, maybe some information coming from the CRM. Doesn't matter where it comes from. You use this DFT to define the truth of each of these data points, and they're all here AI assisted. So for the dimensions are like customers, items, projects, and whatnot. Facts are your transactions. If you go to your sales invoice, how you do your sales calculation, your gross profit out of your sales. You have everything here documented, cleanly organized, and these are highly customizable. You can come over here and customize the way that you want. But this is where you curate the single version of the truth of whatever that your business cares. And on top of the DFT, we have the S, which are the star schemas. So if you go to the sales invoice here, the sales invoice has all of the things that you care about sales, the facts, the customers, the items, the chart of accounts. So when you need to query sales using AI just needs to query a single table and not finding how to link other tables. So it's all in there. So this is where you do the curation of your data. And on top of this, we put the governance. Then we use SQL Server security to control who has access to what. So let's say when a salesperson runs a query and they're asking sales query, it goes to sales, is all good. We can have row level security to only give to the salesperson their own account sales, not someone else. It's all secured in the data warehouse. Even if the person tells me, no, I want to see what my partner is doing sales. If they don't have the rights, AI can try to hack it. AI cannot hack it because security is not done by AI. Security is done by SQL Server, and we have a human controlling security. It's AI assisted, but humans control security. So the governance is actually based on the data warehouse security layers. And we have techniques we use to guarantee that these queries will run fast, even if you have a lot of data. If you have 50 million rows of sales transactions, you can count that we have a framework to run your queries really, really fast because we have optimization, index optimization, and techniques to make your SQL data warehouse run at top speed. Finally, because of all of this metadata, if you use AI, so right now I haven't talked about AI specifically around the data warehouse, but if you're using AI, because we're telling AI what AI can do, what's available, when AI comes to query your data warehouse, it doesn't have to figure it out. If you have a sales query, it's going to go straight to the sales star schema. If you have a GL query, it's going to go straight to your GL star schema. As long as you have the right to access, the AI doesn't have to figure it out. That means less tokens. We have run some tests that without DataSelf, AI would take 10 times more tokens to figure out the same thing that with the DataSelf, it was straightforward. And in the first pass, the AI got it right. Why? Because we built the rules, we curated the rules, and the AI doesn't have to figure it out. They just have to run whatever the rules that are already pre-configured in the data warehouse. All right, so this is the DFT. And pretty much I covered the ETL Web in the DFT layer in the kind of the main novelties at high level. Next, I want to jump into AI. Before I go into AI, Zach, any comments before I wrap that topic?
No, I'll just geek out way too much if we stay on this topic.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff going on over there.
Yeah, it's exciting. If you're not on 26 and web yet, then reach out to me and I can get you upgraded.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about DataSelf with AI. Right here, there's a difference. It's not DataSelf AI, it's DataSelf with AI. And as I go to this little, term in the middle, how critical, valuable and important it is to have a with and not without with. So we'll talk about it. All right. And before we jump into all the craziness of AI, many people stop at the very first slide, data privacy issues. And to me, the data privacy issue around AI, it's kind of funny, but it's not funny. It's business. I have been speaking with a lot of companies and helping many of them to use AI in a better way out of their data. And many times when I start talking with them, they talk, wow, you want to use AI, da, da, da. And then they ask, what about data privacy? People sometimes they're like, well, sometimes people have a real well-established, no, we don't want to use AI, we still don't trust it. And then the AI conversation usually dies quickly because people are not yet want to go because of trust issues. So there's a moment of companies closing the door right at the beginning, sure. And there's a small number of companies that really know the data privacy implications and how to use it properly. So the conversation is much easier because they are knowledgeable how AI works, when it works, when does it work, and usually I'm just to learn from each other a little bit. Most companies are not really well educated about data privacy issues with AI. And most of them, many of them are going to tell, well, yes, we care about data privacy. We're really concerned. We don't want to use AI. But then they're using AI and they're throwing their data into the AI. And they are inconsistent what they're saying in what they're doing. It's not my business to be telling you what to do or how to do it. It's really your business of your data privacy policies and how you're going to be applying with the LLM. It's not my business at all. I'm here to educate you how it works and when you should trust and when you should not trust. And this webinar is not about that. But the point is, if you send your business data through the LLM and you have data privacy concerns, we can have a discussion about what you're doing and why and you shouldn't or not. If you're just doing LLM for metadata work, then usually there is no data privacy concerns. And if you don't understand the difference between the two, call us to discuss, and we can explain that there are many things you can do with LLM that is totally safe, and there is no data privacy issues for pretty much all of them. But you need to know how to use it, where to use it to guarantee no data privacy concerns. So I'm going to stop at that, but many people stop at this slide. They don't want to care about, AI. I'm going to move forward because many of you probably are eager to hear the next slide. So let's talk about the next slide, which probably you already know about it. AI is powerful. It's crazy. Sometimes it's scary. We don't know the future. We don't know the future. Whatever the future is, we'll cross the bridge as the bridge comes, right? But right now, it's amazingly powerful. You can do a lot of things, but it can, and it will, it's not it can, I say it will hallucinate. And if you haven't noticed, this is a typical page of an AI, and I'm going to use Claude because it's the most powerful for data analysis. We support Copilot equally. We support ChatGPT, DeepSeek, Gemini. We don't care, but we're going to use Copilot because Claude because it's the most efficient right now. But if you go to any LLM and you ask a question, it kind of looks all cool. And reading this little sentence here at the bottom is almost like, if you don't have good eyes, if your monitor is a little not very good, you just don't read, but they tell you, I would say AI will make mistakes. It's not that it can, it will make mistakes. And according to Murphy's Law, you make the mistake in the worst case, in the worst case scenario, when you need it the most, and when you're not ready to validate. So it is powerful. If you're open to use it because of data privacy, use it. It's crazy powerful. It's going to automate a bunch of things, and it's moving fast, and it's fascinating. So it's powerful, and it will hallucinate, and we have ways to reduce hallucination. So let's go about the next slide, where humans should remain accountable when using AI. Many people don't understand this, and they just run with it. And again, most of the times it's amazing, it's magic, it's powerful, it's fast. The problem is Murphy's Law. And if someone makes a big mistake because of AI, I guarantee you AI will not be fired. You will be fired, or your client will gonna, fire you as a partner. So you need to put people that understand the power of AI and the limitations of AI to guarantee or to be accountable for the single version of the truth that comes out of AI. And we'll talk about how we improve that significantly. And do not outsource data security to AI. In our framework, AI assists data security, but the safe button is a human. And if someone make a mistake and you didn't read it, and your boss is going to tell what the heck, well, is a human accountable for always saving things that only humans should be in control. Hopefully, humans will continue to be in control of the most critical things. And we have a framework to support that perspective. Very important, this first, what humans should remain accountable for. Now, besides these limitations here that we'll talk about in a minute, Some of the things that sometimes AI also is not there for you, right? Not only it doesn't answer you or it answers with a hallucination, which is a problem, but sometimes you press AI, give me an answer, and AI, no, I'm not going to answer you. And sometimes it's because you ran out of tokens. And it crazy happens. We have many clients that they were in a board meeting, and when they want to run the report, there was AI power, and the AI, nope, I'm not, we run out of tokens. And the people, oh, what about the tokens? And until you figure out who has the account to put more credits, it's a big, waste of time. So sometimes you don't get the answer that you need at the right time because, sometimes tokens in AI just doesn't answer because, or sometimes security. The other thing is AI uptime. Now it's out of your control. What is AI uptime? Let me show you this chart here. It's from Claude. Again, all of these vendors, Claude, ChatGPT, Copilot, you can ask their own to see what their uptime is. If you're in the government business, you probably should be fine. They have 100% uptime. And I wonder why, right? If you're here, you're not, we have no client that works for the US government. So I can guarantee you fall into these other things. And sometimes you
Yeah,
can
and
have,
you're probably paying for it too.
yeah. One of the downsides is if you're only using the AI components that you have to rely on them, Murphy's Law might hit you in the worst time, in the worst day. And we have ways to get those things in a way that you don't rely on AI not having tokens and not having enough time. So in this conversation, I'm giving you some bad news because we have solutions to those bad news in the next slides. So we'll get there. And if you don't have DataSelf with AI, if you just go with AI by yourself, you have to be aware of all these things and you have to create solutions for all those problems. Zach and I and the rest of our team, we've been working crazy hard knowing these problems and how we can put AI, DataSelf with AI in a framework that we solve or dramatically diminish a lot of these friction points in AI. All right, another big slide here. When I say DataSelf with AI, and the with is because you use your AI, not the DataSelf AI, and why your AI account is better than the DataSelf AI if we were to be doing it. We were doing our own AI in the past using our accounts, and eventually we realized, wow, we want clients to use their own AI account. Why? First of all, because your AI knows your context, you individually, and you as a business. So when you ask a question to your AI and your AI comes to DataSelf, even if your question was half written, which is very common, when we ask a question, we usually use the least amount of words we can to tell, and hopefully that's something that is listening and understand us. Well, AI is always listening to your writing and your context and what you're doing. And sometimes, even though you didn't write the whole thing, it knows you, it knows your business, you know the context. And when the question that you wrote comes to DataSelf with your context, it already comes enhanced by your account. And now we just need to give our magic to answer the question beautifully. If you use AI from vendors, and I see Salesforce, and Acumatica, and Sage, and NetSuite, all of these vendors, they are coming with vendor AI. You're using their AI account. Now, when you go there and you ask a question, you have to slowly but surely train that AI with your own context. And it's so much more frustrating than when you use your own account. So that's one big value is your account is not our account. It knows your context. Number two, data privacy, because it's your account, DataSelf has no clue what you're asking. Whatever you write in your AI, we have no clue. It's not our business. You ask a question. Of course, when that question is translated to a query, it will hit your data warehouse, and then ETL will answer. But if you tell in your question some kind of data privacy that only you care, no problem. We are not in the business of reading your prompts. We're just in the business to respond the queries that your AI will translate into our universe. So data privacy more protected. Because it's not our AI, if we were to be using our AI, we'll be charging you an extra fee because it's our AI. We pay Cloud, we pay ChatGPT, whatever, and then you have to pay us some profit. Nope, you pay zero fee on top of the AI tokens because it's your AI tokens. And finally, when you hit your DataSelf and you're using our AI enhanced framework, your data will be, the answers to your queries will be curated, guaranteed by the DFT and source schemas. It's curated, the proper rules, the proper calculation, everything is going to be governed. The security is guaranteed in the SQL. So even if the person asks a query that they're not allowed to, SQL will block it. AI cannot go around those securities. Is highly optimized, so queries will run fast. And because of this whole framework, you're going to be using a lot less AI tokens than if you would be using AI directly out of your source system. All right, moving along. I'm almost at the demo part, so a couple more slides. What kind of AI use case?
Demo. We're gonna run out of time, Johnny, and it's the most exciting part.
I'm looking at the clock here. I'm going to be running out of the QA session, but anyhow, so AI use cases for data analysis. There are two main type of UI use cases for data analysis. One is when you pass your transaction data through the LLM. It is crazy, amazingly powerful. It's amazingly powerful. I'm going to show some examples. And you have data privacy considerations, should you do it or not, and we can help you discussing those things. And there's also using LLM for report design, meaning data extraction, data modeling, reporting. And when you use LLM for report design, is also amazingly powerful. There are no business data privacy concerns. So keep that in mind. If you don't understand, call us and we can talk more in detail how this applies to you. All right, finally, let's do some demos. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show Claude as the AI tool. Again, we support equally all the other Copilot, ChatGPT, and whatnot. Claude by far is the more beautiful, the way that the results are, it's modern. So even clients that have other LLMs, we tell people, hey, just take a Claude free account, check it out. Sometimes you'll see that it will be worth it, the value that you get out of it, and even pay the extra fee. Sometimes it's worth it because the quality of the answers so far are like night and day, even with Copilot, in my opinion. We have many clients very happy with Copilot. Don't take me wrong. Copilot is an amazing. Copilot, no Copilot, for sure. Copilot is amazing. Copilot and Claude, I will tell some clients, give it a shot to see if it's worth paying the money because the difference sometimes is significant. Anyhow, I'll show using Claude. And I'm just going to show the question to the results because we have limited time. So this is an example where these questions are querying a sample in this example, a sample sales data warehouse already modeled with the star schema. And then I simply ask a question, show me sales by year as a chart from my demo data warehouse and explain what you're doing. You press enter, you just write in English, press enter, and then we'll build this nice looking chart correctly. The numbers are correct because it's already curated. It will explain what's going on, sometimes give you some data points about it. If you go and ask more, hey, show me now the information on a US map, just asking plain English, you will get a map like this. You will explain what it did. And then you say, hey, join both in a single dashboard. If you're using Power BI and Tableau, building these things, sometimes, you need to have the edit button and you need, this sometimes is not for the faint of heart. You need to know what you're doing. But anyhow, you plain in English, you kind of put both charts together. If I continue asking more questions about this visualization, I can get to something like this. So this is 5 prompts later, I told, make a color unique for every state and slice the year bars by the same. So I can see Texas doing pretty well. I can see New York doing pretty well. And make at the bottom like a table that shows me the details. So if I want to export to Excel, whatever, it's all here, right? It is interactive. If I choose Texas, I only see Texas here and here. If I choose New York, it shows New York here and here. If I choose California, or if I choose the year, now the map only has information for this year, for this year, for this year, and you see at the bottom it kind of highlights. And if I now choose for this year and for Texas, It only shows these two, and it crosses the reference. All of this was pretty much built prompt-based. To do this in Power BI and Tableau, it's not for the faint of heart. Doing this in Power BI and Tableau is not simple, and you need to know what you're doing, and you don't do in minutes. You might take an hour, sometimes hours to get it done to this level, and this was only prompt-based. Crazy powerful. You know the year-over-year dashboard that you guys have in Power BI and
I don't know
Tableau?
about hours for me, Johnny.
Yeah, for Zach would be minutes. The year-over-year dashboard that is out of the box in Power BI and Tableau, also you can ask AI in the build, and is interactive. If you select here, you can see that there's only New York information. You can see this customer is declining. What the heck? Look at the customer. You see the products. You sort. All of this functionality here that in Tableau, again, this dashboard is not for the faint of heart. You need to know how to do it. There's a lot of techniques that you need to know to do this. Here, totally prompt. You don't need to know Tableau. You don't need to know tables. You need to know business and what you want to see in the report, and tell how the tool should build those dashboards. It's crazy powerful. AR receivables, pretty much all the things that today you have in Power BI. Not all. Probably 70-80% of the reports that today you have in Power BI and Tableau can be done in AI. And many times it's super easy to replicate them. And sometimes you can do even better, because there are certain things in Power BI and Tableau that are clunky and AI can do, even though there's like those 30% of use cases that Power BI and Tableau continue to be amazing tools. So this is not totally replacing, at least yet, Power BI and Tableau, but for many use cases, it's much better than Power BI and Tableau. All right. Zach, any comments about this? Because I'm going to go to the back end a little bit.
No, back end.
All right, back end where Zach lives.
Well, I mean, the front end is cool, right? And for someone, if you are on DataSelf BI and you're looking to move out and you're looking at various options, right? If you're looking at moving to cloud or to Power BI or AI options, it's good to see these kinds of things that you can do with the AI tool.
Right, Zach. Please drums, because this is for the data analysts and data scientists on the call. And even if you are a business person, I'm going to show something that even you, business person in the past, would have to call business analysts, will be possible in the very near future, because ETL Plus is becoming agentic, and I'm going to show you a beta version working today. Zach hasn't seen it yet.
Johnny's been teasing me all morning long. I've been waiting for this.
So when I showed you guys before what you could do with ETL, like click and point, bunch of things, right? And many of you guys are already doing that. But imagine that you can do all those things just going to your own LLM, Claude, Copilot, ChatGPT, whatever it is, and you tell whatever you want. I mean, this is a journey right now. We have about a dozen different actions that you can tell, and AI will execute. And right now I have here my demo ETL, and I opened the live log that shows things happening behind the scenes. So it's going to be logged in real time. I'm going to make a few examples of things that are already working in production. I mean, in the beta version. So let me just copy here. So the first thing is run just a job, right? Let's say that you did some transaction in your ERP and you want to run the job now, not wait for tomorrow. You can just tell run job one from my MCP. I have to make a little longer explanation here because this is a demo environment, and if I were just tell run, it could run the wrong job. So, but just to say run job one, press enter. And then AI is going to kind of get the question, see what I'm asking, going to go to the right place, going to ask me authorization. But you don't need to log to ETL. You don't need to understand jobs. You just need to know that this job one would be your overnight refresh job. And of course, you have to have the right permission, so not everyone can do it. But I already realized that job one is the nightly refresh from the proper entity, and is asking me, should I go ahead? Yes, please. And now what you should see, you're going to run the job, and we're going to start to see things running here. And this is not Zach running behind the scenes. You see here, job
Wait,
one.
hold on a second.
You see job one here started to show some lines. It's going to start to show. It's going to start to kind of log a bunch of things. And then if you say, oops, was a mistake. Stop, job one. Let me just let a few more rows to go. Anyhow, we're running out of time here. I'm going to tell stop job one is going to stop the job one. So right there, you can control. If you say, hey, I just changed a table and I need to, well, I think it's asking for, to check if you want to put load a certain table. Just press enter, and now you're going to see that the log will open will run that table. I'm going to run some more things here because we're kind of running out of time here. So this is asking permission. Yes, please go ahead and execute. We're going to be able to see here in a few seconds that the table ERP account is going to start to load. While it does that, I'm going to ask for a more elaborate question. How is my gross profit calculated? And which data warehouse objects contain the calculation? Let's say that you run a query in the number. Let me just say yes to the prior request here. Yes, go ahead. So let's say that you got a result out of your AI and you don't understand why this number should be different. You can ask a question about the metadata of how the curated data is actually transforming your data, just like this question, and you press enter. And the answer will have, by the way, you see here that we ran the account in the GL account. You ran two tables, not only one. Interesting. But you ask, this calculation here, and the answer will be business in Techie. It will give you SQL statement components showing how this calculation was created in SQL. And if you're not a SQL person, it will also explain in the natural language, in this case in English, that is taking from the sales amount minus the cost of sales and coming up with the gross profit. So all this kind of metadata questions, you can also ask the MCP and it will give you the answer. And by the way, with AI, usually answers take 15, 30 seconds, maybe a minute. So the AI response is not as fast as Power BI and Tableau. That's another difference. It's a little more slow. I know we're running out of time here. But while is giving this answer, another example, the last example I'm going to give is, how can I add purchase order to my cash flow projection? And if you press enter, the AI will assess what you have, what you have in your cash flow projection. It will going to tell you how you can change it. We don't have yet the feature to change SQL statements yet via the MCP, via the AI, not yet. But by the end of the year, the goal is pretty much anything you can do in ETL Web as a human, you'll be able to do the same thing through the agentic approach. It's freaking awesome. All right, so I'm just going to finish the last slides here since we're running out of time. Oopsie. So what's next with DataSelf in the BI world? So there's a lot of cool things coming online. Some people are asking, what about Tableau? What about Power BI? What about DataSelf? I'm pretty confident that the DataSelf stack is amazing in this new AI world. We're bringing a lot of value. That is, our vision is what AI will make obsolete in our old platform. That's obsolete today. So we're working in making many of our stack obsolete because AI would replace it anyway. Then we ask, what AI will need out of Data Geek Wizardry to shine? And then we put a lot of energy into the components that AI is not very good, is not very good at governance, is not very good, it's not good at governance at all. You should not give governance to AI, just assisted. Curation, you need to keep humans. So we are using AI to automate a bunch of things that humans should be in control, and using the ETL platform to accelerate those things. Tableau and Power BI, to me, they have a lot of value that, if you're investing in them, there's a lot of value to get from them. But there are many use cases today that we're already seeing many clients using AI without Power BI and without Tableau, and they are happy. And we are building framework to support those AI-generated reports and dashboards totally disconnected from Power BI and Tableau. So it's kind of, creating a new branch of possibility that are all AI generated and maintained. With that in mind, we are really running a little bit out of time, but if you guys want to discuss further, want to learn more, send us an email. They have my email here in the phone. And I appreciate your business, and I hope you have some education today. This webinar was recorded. We'll share with you. And if you want to learn more, please reach out.
Don't close it yet. I'm still answering questions, Johnny.
All right, I'll keep it. Let me see my schedule here. If I can say a little bit, 10 minutes more. Yeah, I can stay another 10 minutes. Actually, if any of you have 10 minutes, you want to ask questions, I don't know how we could unmute the mic, so at least we can check the questions and answer in real time. Let me see if Zach, do you want to bring up any topic that was worth discussing?
Well, I was just typing an answer to Julio, Julio, but we could just answer it aloud. He was asking if the DataSelf Plus, how does it know which data warehouse to query when you're in your LLM? And do they have a custom MCP, SQL drivers, SQL logins, etc.? And so I was just about to type an answer, but you could answer it aloud if you prefer.
Yeah, no. To me, that's pretty much about data governance. And data governance is one, when I mention about our vision with AI is with AI, not DataSelf AI. Vision with AI is what AI will turn obsolete in our stack, and let's do it first. So let's be ahead of the curve to obsolete things that in the past were only with this framework people could do. In what pieces that AI is not good at. In data governance, again, data governance is something that AI can assist, but we need humans in control. So we have designed our MCP, and MCP is a connector. Then on one side you have your LLM. On the other side, you have, for the DataSelf MCP, you have your DataSelf, whatever that you have. And we have security controls hard-coded in this framework that, let's say, if you are a client of ours and you have one ETL in one data warehouse, when you log to the AI, to our MCP, first of all, we use enter authentication. So Microsoft is being sure that you, Julio, are Julio. We're going to be also enabling Google for authentication in Duo in the near future. But the idea is we're outsourcing security authentication with these big vendors. So first of all, we guarantee that you are authenticated by one of these big vendors. Then when you come to us, there is a code that AI doesn't touch that tells, okay, Julio has access to the entity BAS. And then you go straight into your ETL and straight into your data warehouse. Let's assume that Julio, you have your BAS account plus company ABC. So when you go to the MCP, MCP will go, hey, Julio, actually you have two entities. Which one do you want to work with? You're going to tell, I want to work with BAS or the other one. And then the MCP is going to divert that request to the proper direction. So that's hard-coded. That's part of the governance process, how the request from the AI comes to us, governed by, right now, Azure Entra. Once you get into our MCP, we check what your rights are to watch entities in data warehouse, and we push in that direction. Then comes SQL security layer. If you have access to the whole data warehouse, you have access to everything. If you only have access to certain star schemas, that's a security layer in the hands of humans. So hope I answer your question. Long answer.
Yeah, I also typed an answer. And then the last question is asking about how long the data would sit on Claude servers after you asked a question like the ones you were demonstrating earlier. They said, is it 30 days that if you opt out of your data being used for training? And I wasn't sure on that. It does seem like it gets cleared out, but I don't know if it's 30 days.
My answer is check what the rules are today, because they're changing things like crazy. One of the things that to me is exciting and also frustrating is things are changing too fast. and sometimes for the better, sometimes not for the better. For instance, I remember that it's kind of a silly example, but to me, it's they're getting very marketing focused as well. I remember that initially, when you go to an LLM and you get the prompt blank, and the prompt blank would have below telling, be aware AI can hallucinate, right? And I always thought, yeah, they always put in that sentence to tell from the beginning people, be aware it can hallucinate. Nowadays, Claude doesn't have that sentence anymore. It will only put the sentence when it gives you an answer. And the reason is simple. According to them, until you ask a question, I cannot hallucinate. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's true. But to me, it's a little scary that some people don't understand that AI can hallucinate and they trust it too much. They trust it too much. And to me, as you need to have the wisdom to understand when you can trust AI and when you cannot. And it takes some energy. And fortunately, humans will continue the steering wheel.
Nice.
Alrighty, it was a pleasure. Thank you guys for your business. Thanks for joining us. And if you need to discuss more, give us a call.